Hi, girls. Welcome back to the Pink Podcast. And for today's episode, we're going to talk about sleep, how to get the best sleep of your life, and how to feel rested and also awake when you're actually awake and not all tired and sleepy, how we usually feel. Obviously, sleep is such an important part of our life and our day, and it's 1/3 usually of our life. It's like us sleeping. If you're sleeping like 8 hours a day, that's 1/3 of your day. And it really is the foundation to you having a good day and just feeling energized. And I really have learned a lot of great and amazing sleep hacks throughout the years by watching people like Andrew Huberman, Mel Robbins, Joe Rogan, other experts in the field that really have focused and talked to other people that have studied sleep, etc. And I've wrote down 10 of my best hacks that I have learned and that I apply into my own life that have completely revolutionized like my sleep and how I feel when I'm awake. Now, obviously, I'm not perfect. I don't do these things every day perfectly and all the time, and it's definitely something that I'm working towards, always just having these things be a part of my day. But I don't want you to think that, if you miss a day of doing it, or if you're not doing all of them, or if sometimes you just don't do it for a week, or whatever the case may be, that you're not doing it right, or that, I'm not consistent, so I can't do it. Like, I'm also not consistent. I'm working towards that version of myself where I can stick to this beautiful 10-step great sleep regimen. So don't feel horrible about yourself if you can't do all of these things or if you're not consistent. But they have truly revolutionized completely how I feel when I'm awake, the quality of my sleep. And when I actually follow all these things that I have written down, I feel like a completely different person than when I don't do these things. So I've divided today's sleeping hacks into two sections. I have the first part, which is going to be like the wake up, how to have the best morning of your life and feel energized and all that good stuff. And the second part is actually how to go to sleep and have a good night of sleep. And obviously they all tie in together, but it is broken up into two parts. So the first part is going to be the wake up part and the second part is going to be the sleepy time. So let's get straight into the video. So number one is going to be set an alarm. And do not snooze that alarm when you're waking up. The reason why snoozing is horrible, even though we all love to snooze, is because when you snooze your alarm, you fall right back into sleep and it resets your sleep cycle in your brain. And when you reset your sleep cycle, your brain thinks, okay, like we're going to go right back into that sleeping stage. And it basically just restarts the time that it thinks you need to be asleep for. So when your alarm goes off again, you're actually going to be super sleepy and groggy. Even if you got a pretty good night of sleep, you're going to feel like you got no rest because your brain reset its time of that it needed to sleep. It's like, okay, we're going to go right back into sleep mode. And now you just woke it up within 10 minutes. Like, it didn't complete that 6-7 hour sleep cycle that you just put it back into. And so now you feel horrible. And I never knew this like growing up. I actually learned this from a Mel Robbins podcast. And once I really did start trying that hack of just waking up with my alarm and not snoozing it, just bouncing right up as hard as it is, just bouncing right up, it completely actually did what she said. Like, you don't feel as tired, even though in the moment, like when you first wake up, you feel like there's no way I can get up right now. It's kind of like a lie. Like, if you actually just wake up and bounce up with that alarm in a minute or two, you'll actually feel energized and like you got that good quality sleep. But snoozing that alarm, I know it feels good. I know sometimes you just want a little extra time in bed, but it does more harm than good. It just like resets the need of sleep, and all that good sleep that you just got goes to waste. So don't snooze your alarm. That's number one. Number two is going to be to get blue light as soon as you wake up. Blue light comes from the sun, and it's basically a signal to your brain that it's time to wake up and produce energy and just gets you going. And it's really, really important, obviously, to get it as soon as you wake up, because it's basically like waking up your brain and giving it like an energy drink as soon as you wake up, but with sunlight. And blue light gives you that. So it's really important if you just stand outside for a couple minutes and just like absorb some of that blue light, let it hit your eyes, just like stare up into the sky as much as you can. And actually, this is one of the ones, if I could only do like one of the things out of all of my list, it might actually be this one. Getting the blue light as soon as I wake up creates a huge drastic difference. So I usually just like wake up, get ready really quick, like just put on like some workout outfit and just like step outside. I don't like get ready or do my hair, like do any makeup or any of that. I just like focus on getting downstairs as fast as I can and just getting some blue light directly into my eyes, just like staring up into the sky. And this one was one that I really have heard for such a long time, but I kept procrastinating. I'm like, yeah, I know, but like I just want to get cute first, and like I just want to have a little coffee, and like, oh, I'll get outside eventually. But following this one was actually one of the biggest and most impactful differences out of all the ones that I have tried. And so it's one of my favorites. So that's number 2, get sunlight as soon as you wake up. Number 3 kind of feeds off of that one, which is go on a walk as soon as you wake up. This one, I know it might be hard to do, and you're like, oh, I don't want to go on a walk. And it doesn't have to be a really long walk. I'm not telling you to go walk 3 miles or any of that. But if you could just walk outside for that time that you're supposed to be getting that blue light, like maybe a 5-minute walk, 10-minute walk, it drastically, and I am saying drastically, changes the amount of energy that you'll have for the rest of the day. And like I said with the one prior, I used to hear this all the time from like my favorite podcasters, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do it. I got you. Yeah, I'll do it. And I don't do it every day. Like I didn't do it today. Today I was like focused on trying to get this podcast out, and I didn't prioritize my routine, and I'm paying the price for it. I do feel really tired right now. And I know I have no one to blame but myself, because I knew that walk would make me feel better. And that's kind of the thing about being human, even though you know what's really good for you, sometimes you don't do it. But I'm paying the price and I see the difference. So going on that walk, it's like doubling down on the blue light from like stepping outside. Like if you really don't want to go on the walk, at least step outside and let the blue light hit your face. But if you combine the two, and I'm saying it doesn't have to be a super long walk. It could be a 5-minute walk, 10-minute walk, whatever. It just compounds with that sunlight one, and it just like quadruples the effect. Like you really, really feel a huge boost of energy, and you feel like you also like accomplish something. So you get like a reward from that. And it just kind of sets up your day for greatness. It just really puts you in a great mindset. It gives you energy. You feel accomplished already. You were out in nature, breathing like good air, hearing like natural sounds. When I go outside, I don't go with my phone or headphones or anything. I just go raw dog the walk. Like I just walk around my neighborhood. I try to do like 15 to 20 minutes personally, so I could get like a mile in. But there's days I really don't want to do it at all. So I just tell myself, I'm just going to go outside for like 5 minutes. I'll just walk one little quick lap and come right back around. Doing that is still 100 times better than not doing it at all. If you want to go the extra mile and do a mile or do 2 miles or whatever, that's on you. But as long as you just get in a couple steps in some sunlight, oh my God. Those two right there, those actually might be my favorites, like combined. Now, number 4 is also one that I didn't believe at first, which was delaying coffee until after like an hour and a half after you've been awake. I'm Cuban. I was drinking coffee in my milk when I was literally a baby, like 2 years old. In Cuba, there's no like chocolate powder and all these other things that are here that you like give to babies or whatever. Like, so we didn't know that over there in Cuba. There's like not that much like research or whatever. They didn't know this was bad to give to kids. So my parents and my grandparents used to put coffee in my milk all the time, like for me to go to bed and wake up and whatever. I've been drinking coffee, my point is, since I was pre-toddler. I love coffee. Coffee's in my veins, and it's been a part of my routine since I was a toddler. So prehistoric over here. But I was so used to just waking up and first things first, like getting my coffee, just like, my Cuban routine. I love my Cuban routine. But when I started listening to the experts in the field, which were like, okay, don't drink your coffee the first hour and a half, I forgot actually the actual science. Let me look it up real quick. Okay, so the reason why it's really important to delay your coffee intake until about an hour and a half after waking up is because your body naturally produces cortisol, a wake-up hormone, upon waking up. And drinking coffee too early can interfere with this natural process, potentially reducing the effectiveness of caffeine and leading to energy crashes later in the day. And oh my God, this one was honestly a hard one for me to accept and come to terms with and actually follow through. Because like I said, I'm Cuban. Like I really, really love coffee. But as soon as I stopped having my coffee, like first things first, like I have it now within like hour and a half to 2 hours after waking up, I don't get that quick crash that I used to always feel like. I would drink my coffee and I kid you not. First of all, I would always still feel tired. I'm like, this coffee's not working. I used to think it's because I've had so much of it growing up that maybe I'm like immune to it or just like it doesn't, hit me. I'm like, I just drink it for the flavor, but I'm like too Cuban. It doesn't really like affect me. That's literally what I used to tell myself, like a dummy. And I used to feel just as tired the entire day, like just as tired. Actually, coffee used to make me sleepy. I'm like, this is crazy. But I'm like, oh, I used to have it to go to sleep as a kid. Whatever. I used to have all these excuses without understanding that it's because I was blocking my body from creating its own natural, like, wake up feeling. And I was suppressing that hormone and also creating my own crash after coffee. Now, when I drink my coffee, first of all, I feel like I don't really need it, which is crazy, especially after like getting the walk in and the sunlight. I really just drink it for flavor and habitual patterns and culture. But I don't really feel like I need it like how I did before when I used to just wake up, snooze my alarm, get on my phone when I would wake up, finally get up from bed, not get sunlight, go downstairs, have a coffee, and I would feel horrible all day. Horrible. But now my coffee doesn't really have a crash at the end of the day, or I don't feel groggy after I drink it. And I'm not gonna lie, waiting an hour and a half to 2 hours does really help. Now, if you have to like run out the house, like if you maybe have a job and you're like, I have to make my coffee and take it, just get like a thermal cup and put it in there, make it really, really hot. And then just it'll keep it hot until you want to drink it. If you drink it ice, just take it cold and then maybe put like ice in the thermal and mix it later. Whatever. Just come up with your own little hacks. But if you can, I really recommend like delaying that coffee till later in the day. It really does make a difference. Number 5 is going to be hydration. Ideally, you want to do this before you go on your walk. Like as soon as you wake up, just hydrate really good. And the way that you hydrate is by adding in some sort of natural electrolytes, which in my case, I use natural sea salt. Is it sea salt? I don't think it's sea salt. I think it's just salt. You could use sea salt, but I use the Redmond salt. I'm going to put a picture of it right here. It's not sponsored yet. Hopefully one day they'll sponsor me. I use this as like my everyday salt, my cooking salt. It's actually a revolutionary salt. It's really, really good. It has like all the natural minerals and all the good stuff the salt's supposed to have that actually is beneficial for your body, including electrolytes that help your body absorb the water. So water in the body without salt doesn't get absorbed by your cells. It just kind of flushes out your kidneys and it does do other things, but for your cells to actually absorb that water and for it to hold on and to get hydrated, it needs electrolytes, which are basically like the key to opening the cell for the water to get in and hydrate those cells. So that key for me is sea salt. You could do other types of electrolytes if you rather. I rather the sea salt. It's natural, it's easy. I don't have to think about it too much. I don't have to go out of my way and buy other things. I think some people use like lemons and whatever. There's different ways that you can do it. You can look it up. But as long as you are purposefully trying to add hydration and optimizing that hydration, it's going to create a huge difference in how you feel and how your body's functioning throughout the day, especially if you do consume coffee or any type of caffeine where your body kind of becomes dehydrated because caffeine does dehydrate the body. So it's extra, extra important to have more water and not just water that's running through you, but it's actually being absorbed. So sea salt is the key to that. And the last tip for the wake up part of this beautiful routine created by yours truly, just kidding, created by all the experts that I watch and curated by me. But it is, first of all, not really listening to anything upon wake up, like not just putting on like music or whatever it is. Like I really just try to sit with myself for at least a little bit in the morning. I'm not saying the whole morning. It sometimes it does get lonely and boring, and I'm not like, over here not listening to anything for hours. But I at least try to not play anything off my phone, no music, no podcast, no audiobook, none of that until I come back from my walk. So now I've already been up for like 45 minutes or so by the time that like I got downstairs and went on my walk and came back and whatever. It's already been at least 30. And that time with yourself, it really does allow you to connect with yourself, feel good about your day, have like time to clear out your thoughts and not just like be busy with like consuming something, but it also like lets you like flush out your own thoughts and ideas and be creative and let in that morning spontaneity within your brain allow like a good flow of thoughts without just like consuming. Because when you're consuming something, even if it's something really positive, you're in the mode of learning and like listening and consuming. You're not like creating when you're consuming. So I try to at least delay that if I can. I'm not perfect. I don't do it every day, but when I can, it does really allow me to like think for myself and just have good feeling thoughts without being interrupted. And with that being said, when I do listen to something for the first part of my day, so I'm talking about like while I'm making breakfast, while I'm eating breakfast, just like in that first part of the morning, the key is to listen to something that is productive and almost like feeding you. It's like brain food, whether it's like a positive podcast about like mindfulness or something that you're learning or a good book about something that's like brain food. So not just entertainment, not like an audiobook of like a story or a podcast about tea or people like arguing about a topic. Like it should be basically like learning time, like brain food, something that puts you in a good mood and a good trajectory for the rest of the day. And it just kind of puts you on the right path, rather than like listening to people bicker or argue or talk about like nonsense or news or things that aren't really just focusing on you and your well-being. That I try to do later in my day while I'm doing chores, while I'm cleaning, while I'm driving, whatever. I'll listen to all the bad content later. But in the morning, when I'm still like trying to set up my brain for a great day, I try to only listen, when I can and when I'm being responsible to something really great for me and something that's going to put me in a good mood. And that's the final hack for the wake up portion of the sleep episode. So now let's get into the sleep portion. Number one in the sleep portion of this episode is going to be blue light blocking glasses. So earlier we talked about the importance of blue light and the fact that it energizes your brain and it, just gives you a good boost. And you're going to be like, Wendy, like, why would I block blue light at nighttime? Like, there's no sun out at nighttime. Well, blue light isn't just produced by the sun. It's actually produced by your phone and your TV and the lights in your home. A lot of the lighting that we have in today's world emits blue light. And when you're trying to go to sleep at night, this can mess up the quality of sleep that you will have because your body is being confused at nighttime because it's reading blue light. So it thinks it's still awake. It doesn't tell itself to really go to sleep into a full night of sleep because it's like, oh, it's daytime. We need to be up. We need to be alert in case there's predators. And you're confusing your brain. It's not allowing it to produce like that sleepy hormone that's really going to put you into a beautiful night of sleep. So blue light blocking glasses are a little bit easier of an alternative. Some people just block all blue light at nighttime. So like no phone, no TV. They have like different light bulbs at nighttime to like not emit blue light. And this just seems like a lot of work. We're not all there yet. Maybe one day we'll all achieve this level of discipline and dedication to sleep. But for now, my hack is just to wear blue light blocking glasses. So if I'm watching TV, if I'm on my phone, whatever the case may be, these glasses are at least blocking some of those rays. I'm not sure if it blocks 100%, that's what they claim. But I feel like blocking something is better than nothing. So I say just do it just in case. And it's kind of a slay, like, cute little hot girl blue light blocking glasses, like what a flex, you know what I'm saying? Another really important thing to have is blackout curtains. And I haven't even tried this until literally like a week ago. I've always heard like, oh, get blackout curtains so that when you're sleeping, basically the blue light that's coming in from like the sun in the morning isn't waking you up. Now you might be like, why wouldn't I want that if you just told me to go get blue light in the morning? Well, the reason is it's not like you slept outside like people used to back in the good old days and you just went to sleep at like 8 p.m. and you're waking up with the sun around 6 a.m. and it's like, oh, beautiful. No, like you're probably going to sleep at like midnight or 1 a.m. or something like that. And by the time that the sun is waking up and rising, it's not when you're waking up and rising. So if you have this light coming in through your window, even if it's just a little bit, it's going to signal to your brain, hey, it's time to wake up. It's time to be alert. So even if you sleep through it, your brain is in a lighter state of sleep because it knows that it's bright outside and it understands that there might be predators or things to worry about. And now it's not in such of a deep sleep as it was before because it's trying to be alert just in case because it's no longer nighttime. So I've always heard this, but I don't have any curtains yet in my new house. And I'm like, I don't want to buy blackout curtains. Like, I'm not even, like, I don't feel like doing all that right now. But the other day I was going to go to sleep really late and I was like, oh my God, I really don't want to be woken up by the sun. So I put up blankets as blackout curtains. And it really worked. Like, when I woke up, I didn't feel as like sleepy as I usually do when I like sleep in late and like the sun is coming in through my windows. Like my room gets really, really bright. And I did really notice a difference, like a huge difference. And I have always been like, blackout curtains, like, ugh, whatever. I'll do that next year. I'll do that whenever. I'm not really in the mood for that. Like, I just didn't really truly understand the severity of the blackout curtains. And so I put up some blankets over my windows and actually tried it for myself. And now I feel like, wow, like even when I sleep in late, if there's no sunlight coming through, I could really get a full night of sleep. And with that being said, this isn't a separate tip, but it does kind of coincide with that. It is important to get a full night of sleep. So somewhere between 7 to 9 hours. For me, it does fluctuate depending on the phase of my period. So when I'm like on my period or my luteal phase, I really feel like I need that extra hour versus when I'm like ovulating and just like, in a different phase of my period. Sometimes I feel like I'm really good with just 7 or 8. And there's sometimes I really need like 9 or 10, and that's gonna fluctuate. But as long as you're getting at least between 7 and 9, every human kind of has like a different need, and maybe you perform really good off of 6.5 hours, but everybody's usually somewhere around that 7 to 9. And getting the correct amount of sleep is just as important as all these other tips because none of these other things will actually be effective if you're running off of 4 hours of sleep. Like your body needs enough adequate sleep to recover itself, to rebuild itself, to perform and to last long. It's a machine and it needs time to self-correct things and to heal itself from within and do other bodily functions that aren't just keeping you awake and walking around and consuming and whatever. It needs time to recover, and that is when you're sleeping, which is why it's so important to respect that and not just overly work yourself or act like you don't need sufficient sleep just because you can run off of 5 hours or you've been doing it for this long and you're still fine and you haven't died. Like, those aren't good enough excuses to mistreat your body and your mind and to not allow it the proper adequate amount of sleep that it requires in order to be a healthy, happy body. And a little story time about that. My niece was born a couple of days ago, which is why this episode is late. And she's so freaking cute and adorable and healthy. And I'm so proud of my sister. She did such an amazing job and she did it all natural, no epidural. She went through that pain. And my niece is here thanks to her and her hard work as a good mommy. But anyways, the point is, when my niece was born, my parents called me at 5:30 in the morning. I had basically gotten no sleep that night. They were like, wake up, we're going to Miami to go. Your sister's in labor, like, let's go. And I didn't have any sleep and I was running off of nothing. Like, I hadn't slept. And I literally, when they told me to get ready, I just started crying. Like, I was so sleep deprived. Like, obviously, somewhere in my body, I was happy, but I was more like just so overly exhausted. I couldn't even really enjoy the news that my sister was going into labor because I was so tired. And I was literally sobbing, like just uncontrollably, just so tired. I was just sobbing, like going to the closet, like, I don't want to go. I'm so tired. And the next day, obviously, like, well, not the next day, but that same day, I guess it's 5 in the morning. So later that day, when it's time to go to sleep, and we were staying at my sister's house. She was still in the hospital. It was time to go to bed. I literally felt so depressed. Like, I was getting like these heavy waves of sadness and depression, like a wave was hitting me. And I knew it was because I hadn't gotten enough sleep. Like, obviously, I just had like the best day of my life. I just met my niece. I see my sister give birth. Like, I was having the best day. I was with my family. But because I was like sleep deprived, I still somehow felt like a version of depression, just like at nighttime, just being like overly tired. And it just goes into perspective, like how important sleep is. Like, you could be having the best day, be surrounded by family and be happy, and not having enough sleep will literally trick your mind into thinking that you are unwell and depressed and sad. And I knew that that's what was going on. So obviously I was just like, oh, let me just get some sleep. And the next day I woke up super happy. But that's goes to show literally the importance of adequate sleep. But anyways, let's move on to the next point, which is not eating right before bed or too close to bed. It's important to allow your body to digest before going to bed because Digesting takes up a lot of energy from your body, and if you're trying to digest in your sleep, it will ruin the quality of your sleep. I know obviously like when you eat, sometimes you get so sleepy and it's like nice to go to sleep right after, but it does really impact the quality of your sleep if you're digesting in the middle of your sleep. So it's important to eat at least like 3 hours prior to like going to bed. So if you're going to bed at 10, at least be done eating by 7 p.m. And obviously the sooner the better. Like if you could do 4 or 5 hours, like that's even better. Just letting your body be done with digesting and that job before you're trying to let it rest. Because how can it rest if it's literally doing a job? And digesting is actually, I believe, the thing that takes the most energy from your body is like breaking down food. And, if you're literally sending your body to go work, how can you send it to go rest? Like it doesn't really align. So it's important to just eat, be done with that before bedtime. And also not to drink coffee too close to bedtime. Caffeine stays in your body for about 7 to 8 hours, even sometimes longer, lingering in your bloodstream and whatever. I don't know if it's in your bloodstream. I don't know, lingering somewhere around there with its effects. So even though you might not feel like super awake when it's time to go to bed, let's say you had a coffee 6 or 5 hours before bedtime and you're like, I'm not awake right now, like I'm ready for bed. You might feel like you're ready for bed and you might fall asleep super easy, but it will also impact the quality of your sleep because that caffeine does block, your body from getting its full rest. So try to avoid coffee like 7 to 8 hours before bedtime. If you can, I really try to abide to this like as much as I can because it does really make a huge difference. And the last tip for great sleep, and this isn't so much about sleep, but it is about your overall joy, which is saying nice things to yourself like nighttime and in the morning. And I actually am not the best at this. I really, really want to improve on this myself. But also, with that being said, setting the intentions for the next day, I actually do this one and I really appreciate myself for doing it. Like before I go to bed, I think about the things that I want to accomplish the next day. Like, okay, what are my goals for tomorrow? Whether that's like shooting the pod, editing, or making a thumbnail, or cleaning the house, or meal prepping, or going like to see my friends, like whatever the case may be, like just understanding my priorities for the next day and like what I know I have to do. Even if I end up doing more things or all those things don't get done, at least I went to bed knowing my intentions for the next day and knowing that when I wake up, I'll have some purpose. And I feel like sometimes when you go to sleep and you just wake up and you're like, oh, what do I have to do today? It just kind of feels like a little lackluster and like you're forcing yourself to do things rather than having like a goal set for the next day. Like, okay, these are the things that I want to do tomorrow. And you wake up with purpose and ready to like fulfill those things. And sometimes maybe you don't get to them or you don't accomplish those things, but at least you had the intention. And obviously with practice, you become way better at that. I feel like it definitely gives me the right mindset going to the next day. And whenever I do accomplish all my goals for the day, I do the part where I thank myself for showing up for myself and doing the things that I wanted to do that day and feeling productive and, just like going hard at the day and getting everything that I wanted to get out of it. I just need to do it more in the mornings. Like in the morning, I don't just start off super like, yay, like you're gonna have the best day ever. I really do actually feel like that when I go on the walk. Like when I go on the walk, I talk to myself so good in the walk. I'm like, yeah, look at you. Like you're on this walk, getting sunlight. Like this is really badass of you. Like you're doing all the right stuff. But when I don't go on the walk, it's actually when I don't have a good self-talk. And look, it all just loops back to why we should be doing these things because they are really important and they help feed each other and they all go hand in hand into creating a really good sleep routine and a wake-up routine that just like sets you up for a great day and feeling your best during the day, not just feeling groggy and tired and like you're over it. And that concludes today's tips of a better sleep and morning routine. All of these tips and tricks are things that I have learned over the years by listening to experts on podcasts or reading books and just like getting little things from here and there and just creating my own curated list. I really love and stand by all the things that I have said. And like I said, I don't do them all the time. I'm not perfect. There are days that I don't feel like doing these things like today, but I do feel the difference when I do it. And I am paying the price today for actually not doing a lot of these things. And anyways, the point is I really love these tips. I feel like they have completely shifted my morning routine, how I feel when I'm awake. the quality of my sleep. And obviously, that translates and bleeds into the rest of my life. And the better sleep and rest that you get, the better you feel when you are actually awake. And I'm so thankful that I have gathered these tips and tricks. If you girls have any of your own tips and tricks that you'd like to share in the comments, please let me know. I'm always looking for new, like, little tips and tricks to like bettering my sleep routine, my awake time routine, and all of that good stuff. And I can't wait to make other videos like this of health tips that I have acquired throughout my life. I really obviously obsessed with like health and optimizing my day and all of that good stuff. So today's episode was about sleep, but there will be other fun episodes in the future. And I can't wait to share those with you girls. But anyways, thank you girls for watching. Don't forget to like and comment on this video. I love you all so much, and I'll see you girls next Wednesday. Bye.